How are you doing? How's your week gone?
Oh man, it's exhausting.
Is it?
I keep on
Oh
sleeping.
no.
I keep on
What?
going to bed at 4 a.m.
4 a.m.?
Yes, when you do
Amazing.
that in the
Wow.
row for three days,
Wow.
you're dizzy and you feel not so
Oh my
focused.
God. Why? What are you doing?
Our community has so many unanswered emails and campaign follow
Wow.
up. There's so much
Mm.
going on, and all my
Mm.
interns expect me to go through their inputs.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and we are in the middle of a shifting. I've told you,
Mm.
move from
Mm.
online to
Mm.
offline.
Mm.
Now we are engineering how we're going to transition all the partnerships needed for us to be in the market,
Yeah.
and it's a lot going on at the same time, and everyone expects in the following day to have something in their boxes, recommendations, feedback on their whatever they've contributed.
Wow. Okay. And who's supporting you?
Um,
Where'd you get your
I,
strength from?
um, I mean, when I know that
Mm.
most of the people
Mm.
at this moment
Mm.
feel desperate,
Yeah.
and I tell to myself, I can at least keep the head all up, and I
Yeah.
can strategize,
Yeah.
and I think I pretend I can have an answer to all the challenges.
Mm.
If I don't do it and I see people struggling, I will have missed the opportunity to help them out the moment
Mm.
I could do that. So being able to craft a solution
Yeah.
and that responsibility that you need to get it to work and get people out of the mud.
Yes. Well, you're doing an amazing job and an important contribution you're making for sure. And
Yeah,
you want to keep making it sustainably. So
exactly.
yeah. So we don't want you to burn yourself out.
I mean, in the morning and at seven when I wake up, I have
Yeah.
my toddler who comes and jumps on and
Of course. Well,
start
that's
talking.
nice. I remember those days. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah.
How many years now from?
Well, my daughters are now 14 and 12, but
Oh, okay. They're really
I
grown up.
mean,
So.
from my first marriage, but
Mhm.
my son, through my partner in Rwanda, Lillian, he's 5.
Okay.
So
Still young. Yeah, you can still can enjoy that.
I can still
Goes
enjoy
fast.
that. Yeah, absolutely. And
Mm,
I think that's a joyful
mm.
thing to have happening. That's lovely.
Exactly. It changes you from. And he asks me. He keeps asking me, "How many orders do you need today for me to get
Oh,
a
does
donor?"
he? He is. Oh, there you go. He is your boss.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we
He's
all need
making
one
me.
of those. That's great. Well, then maybe he'll be the one that will take over the business, the family.
Of course, I want to make sure that we have another kind of charity way to do things. So every month we give away 2 goats,
Two
and whenever I
goats.
give 2 goats,
Yeah.
yes, I give one for him and one for me. So he knows he owns a bunch of this. And whenever
Oh,
I go up country, he wants to come with me to oversee how all these big goats are behaving pretty much.
oh. Well, that's great that he's interested.
Mm.
It's nice to have him seeing what Daddy's doing.
Nah, I cannot afford a board. I have him to get me answerable.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's great. It's great to involve the family, seeing you do something positive. That's so nice. So nice. And so you've been busy, of course, since we started. You've been doing your podcasts and you've been doing your interviews online, and are
Exactly.
you happy with the way that they've been going? What sort of feedback have you been receiving about those?
Oh, we want to make sure that we leverage all the or the channels that we can benefit of to get the message out.
Yeah.
of course, most of those are more as a contribution instead of us collecting any reputation on. Of course, we grab some attention, we are in the spotlights, but what we want to know is that whatever we are doing today, our approach is being heard by as many people as possible. And if it can touch a life or two, we will be happy, we'll be rewarded. And having people still keeping asking more of it is a signal that it's impacting. And when I have an audience of 400 entrepreneurs in Africa across the continent who are convinced that, probably not convinced, but are aware that there's a certain way of doing things.
Yes.
And I tend to say I don't need a Series A or Series B. I just need to have people joining the conversation, challenging me to do better, or expecting me, like asking for follow-up and trying out things before after I've talked about them, and challenging me on what's not working, and gives me more information that I could not ever gathered myself across the continent.
Yeah, it's so if out of what you are putting out there, they then come back and you create new ways of doing things between you. So there is this, as an academic, we would call it's a co-creation. You know, there's a loop, so you co-create.
Exactly, yeah.
And so this co-creative approach is really powerful because people feel involved in changing the way in which things are done. And therefore, out of that, new ideas come out that one hadn't even thought about before. So, for example, I was just downstairs with my mum and dad. We were talking about today's session I was going to be, with Deborah and I were going to be having with you. And I was talking about, is Christelle there? Is Christelle online?
Hi.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm leading on from what Fiden said, but I was saying that I was having this discussion about 10 minutes ago with my mum and dad over breakfast. And I showed them that wonderful picture that you posted on Twitter last night.
Okay.
Of the girl jumping up and being so excited about her 6th birthday.
Yeah.
And the crochet dress, which it's beautiful. Because my father used to be in women's fashion, had a women's fashion brand when I was small.
Okay.
And then my mum said, "Oh, crochet reminds me, because yesterday in a magazine, I saw a little toy that was crocheted. It was like a crocheted animal, crocheted rabbit." And then we think, oh, maybe you could do a crocheted gorillas and crocheted animals with bonfil. Yeah.
Yeah. I have some samples. I can talk with
Oh, great. But so the reason I was making the point to Fidenz was that out of those conversations comes new ideas that are then developed, and who knows where they might lead. So Fidenz, the fact that you had those wonderful conversations with 200 young agri entrepreneurs across Africa means that hopefully you can generate some new ways of doing things that are more sustainable and more successful than they have been in the past.
Yeah. I mean, I don't pretend I know anything. I just happen to be these how do you call it, like a tissue, and I sip up whatever comes to me. And for that to happen, I need to be available for all these injunctions or these ideas to come from any. So whatever I'm doing today is like I'm launching in the aunt's house. I'm throwing a stone in the aunt's house, and whatever comes after that, I need to be ready to assess it, to see how I can package it, how I can use it, pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's how I learn.
I like that. I've never heard that phrase before. Throwing the stone in the aunt's house. Is that a Rwandan translation? I think we were saying throw a pebble in the water, in the pond, and see what happens. I've never heard about throwing a stone in the aunt's house before, but I get the
It's
analogy.
just
Yeah,
a figurative way.
I get it. Yeah, it's an
you know.
interesting figure of speech. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm,
As long as you don't take it literally, of course.
mm.
Thank you. Pacific's there. Good morning to Pacific, and good morning to Deborah as well. I think Deborah has a cup of tea. She is celebrating the last session.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Yes, I went and got my green tea because I know that Rwanda has green tea in our Yorkshire tea. So we
Yeah.
have this company here in the UK called Yorkshire Tea,
Mm.
and they source their tea from the lovely country of Rwanda. So I thought that I would have some while I'm here with you today.
They do. Did you know that, guys, that the Yorkshire tea is a very, very big brand of tea, and I'll bring some back actually because I need to take some tea with me to Rwanda. But they do say Yorkshire tea that one of the best supplies they have is the Rwandan tea. So there you go. Silence. Okay. Good morning. Goodbye. 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 We are here. This is our last session together. So is everybody still there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So it's goodbye, isn't it? This is our last session together.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Sadly, we won't hear the cheerful voice of Deborah again.
All right. I'll shut up then.
No. It's all the east side from the
It's a
father's
balance,
voice of
Daryl.
Daryl.
It's a
Huh?
balance.
Oh, I'm going to turn my video off as well because I'm looking miserable. All right, carry on then, Deborah. You can take it over from here.
What
You're in the
the
pilots.
lovely voice of Deborah. Yeah. So, but we know that a so-called goodbye is basically the start for something new. And what we plan to do today is really bring everything together and for you all to, really celebrate how far you've come. And then, and the way that we want you to celebrate is really to reflect on your achievements, your successes, your challenges. And Daryl has put up on the board there, reflective practice. This is essentially what we want you to start doing. Hi, Pasafik. I'm glad that you're happy to be here for this session. So this reflective practice, essentially, all learning happens when we sit back and we reconsider what is it that we have gained. We consider the setbacks and how we've come back from that setback. We consider the moments when we said, oh my gosh, I can't do this, or oh my gosh, what are they saying? Or, that whole thing. And then how you evolved, how you grew, and then now you're producing all sorts of things. I mean, Daryl shared with me yesterday or this morning an amazing tweet from Christelle. She shared this cute little girl in this pink dress, and she was basically obviously promoting her business. Now, beforehand, Christelle was doing the shy thing. She wasn't really sharing that sort of stuff. So it's that sort of thing that we want you to reflect on, how you've become more aware of how you've changed. Bonfils, he's not here yet, but we can see how he's been making all these developments. Fidens for sure. Yes, I can see. Yeah, we can see. Yeah.
I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I can see you. Yeah. So that's essentially what we want you to be doing today. We have been doing this. That's what our catch-up sessions before our guests come has always been. but we want you to do it more systematically. So Daryl is going, yeah, we've got a model here. This is a model that helps you to structure the way that you, hello David, helps you to think about how you reflect. So it starts off with the purple one. Actually, you can start anywhere, really, because it's a circle. But my suggestion is that you start with describing for yourselves what happened over these 8 weeks for you. And for you to literally just state that, what happened for you. Now, this isn't like a classroom test where you have to tell us specifically exactly what happened for you. You state what happened to you that matters to you. That's really what we are interested in. We want you to state what matters to you. So it isn't just, you know, we did this. No, when you're describing what happened, yeah, in those 8 sessions, what happened, but what happened that matters to you. Do you want to say something, Daryl?
I was just going to say that one thing and what happened can be a positive experience. It can also be a not so positive experience. So these are called, academics would call these critical incidents that happen. They sort of jolt you. It's like it could be like a wow, a light bulb moment. Oh, wow, that's amazing. And we've heard some wows over the last 8 weeks, which has been fantastic to hear. And there's also been some moments, I'm sure, when perhaps not necessarily in the session, you've done some quiet time, some quiet reflection, and something was said that has helped you reflect, look back on the situation and how you may have therefore changed something. Maybe you were feeling something. Maybe it came up in the session, maybe it came up after the session, maybe it came up in conversation with somebody when you were maybe explaining about something that you'd experienced in the session. So these descriptions, these what happens, as Gibbs would define them in his model, these are sometimes known as critical incidents, these pivotal moments that can shape something. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. I'm sure you're all taking notes, because I want to deepen this description of what happened. So Daryl's pointed out the critical incidences. Another way of thinking about a critical incident, just to deepen what Daryl said, is to think about did you have any triggers? Were there any triggers? You may have had wow moments. Were they positive wows? Were they negative wows? Did you bounce back sort of wows? So that's what we want you to describe. Perhaps another way of thinking about it is this. How was your world before you came to the session? How was your world before you came to the session? What was your normal? So I do recall when I'm reading your feedbacks after each week, many of you say, oh my gosh, we didn't know that we didn't know. Or we suddenly realized that the way that we've been doing things in the past can be approached differently. So essentially describe what was your normal. What was your normal? What was your normal? And I think that's perhaps a nice way of thinking about it. And then what triggered it? So it may well have been one of the experts. It may have been something that either Daryl and myself had said. It may have been some interaction with your customers, which I actually think that's probably the focus that you ought to have. And then when you reflected back, then you said, so think about that. So think about what was life before, what was the norm. Oh, it could have been COVID-19, which could have been the trigger. Okay, it could have been an internal trigger. But you had a world before you came to this session. Now you have another world, and then you had a trigger. Then we go to the, so if that's clear, I'll move on. If someone could give me, say something in the chat, then I'll hello? Oh, we have somebody else.
Hi, Deborah. It's clear.
Thank you. You know my heart's big for Christelle, don't you? As well as everyone else.
I got
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on. Let's now consider the feelings. What were you thinking and feeling? So remember, we actually don't want to see this for ourselves. So you can say anything like, oh, absolutely whatever were you thinking? Were you feeling confused, excited, anticipation, expectation, whatever you were feeling. Remember, you did have a set of feelings before, then something triggered. It could have been COVID, it could have been something that any of us had said, it could have been something that your customer had said, and then it has started to change your thinking and feeling. Something I'd like you to think about, when I think about feelings, I think about belief. Sometimes we believe what we believe, but essentially they're just the current thinking that we have. So I think it's quite useful for you to ask yourself, what did I believe before I came here? What did I believe about my entrepreneurial skills? What did I believe about customers? What did I believe about technology and so on? What did I believe about my ability to put things onto social media, etc., etc.? Because it's from your belief that you'll get your feelings. It's from what you have been believing that you will get your thinking and feeling. So it's very useful for you to say, what did I actually believe? Did I believe that things were possible, or did I believe that, oh, of course things are possible, etc., etc.? So that will then help you to unpack your specific thoughts and feelings. Now we're going to move on to evaluation. Obviously, evaluation is good or bad about the experience. I always find that there's no such thing really as good and bad, because we can always reflect on a so-called bad situation and turn it around, and we can always learn from that. So please consider that. It says here what was your what was good and bad about the experience, but also as you're doing that, consider that you may have some thoughts that you thought, well, they're not good, they're not bad, they actually showed me how I could pivot, how I can shift, and how I can change. And this is purely my suspicion. Those of you that are here, I suspect that you are flexible. And what I mean by that is that lots of research says that it's those people who are very flexible about their thoughts, that they don't just say this was bad or this was good. They recognize that things can shift. They're the ones who end up being successful more than others who are very stuck in good or bad. But so have a thought about that. So we want you to identify, evaluate for yourself, and you can see that I've added another layer of evaluation. Analysis. What sense can you make out of this situation? The sense really is, what did you make this mean? So X plus Y. Paula plus Peter plus Kevin came along. What did this mean, for you? or you put up your social media, you shared it amongst the group, they collaborated, they shared it further. What does this mean? So we're really looking for the sense that you're making out of this. You know, perhaps how have you grown? You may have said, you know what, this experience, I can see how I've grown. That's what we mean by what was the sense that you made out of this situation? What was the meaning that you gave? So please identify that. It could be that you were grateful about a situation that before you avoided it, it was difficult. You came to this situation, this Kwa Muganga, you learned from it, and then you're grateful. So, you know, so meaning can be a whole range of things, but it's the meaning that you've made from it. Conclusion, what else could you have done? So this is now, you're putting on a completely different hat. You are asking yourself, what else could I have done? And, you know, allow yourself to be relaxed when you're really thinking about this, because you are now opening up another part of your imagination that is helping you to say, and what else? And what else? What other possibilities? You know, what else? Where else could this have gone for me? Okay. So please allow yourself to energize this part. And then finally here, what is your action plan? Many of us have ideas. We actually do talk through these things. But again, what we know from research is that when you set out your own personal action plan from any endeavor that you're involved with, that's when you take yourself higher. That's when you take yourself to a whole nother level. I remember when Pasafik first set out your agenda, when he invited you all to come to this process. And he called it, was it reset, renew, reinvigorate? Pasafik will tell me specifically what he said. But he basically said, you know, let's look at our situation again. COVID-19 has provided us with this opportunity to reassess our situation. We have been doing that for the last 8 weeks. Now, what 3 steps are you now going to put into action? You know, what are they? What are they? What are they? What are they? And that's essentially what we're asking you to do there. So thoughts, questions, anybody would like to share some additional thoughts? Daryl, Fidens, Pasafik, Bonfils.
Anybody?
For me, everything is clear. Like I know where this clinic took me from and where I am today, like how I have evolved. So I think it will be really easy to do this because I can see, as Deborah is talking about all those points, I can get answers in my head automatically. So it's really clear.
Fabulous.
And this is what we would call a model of reflection. And there's other models of reflection, but we think this one best suits, you know, the situation. And you may explore and find there's others, but we find that this one is really very helpful in just a cycle of your reflection and your ongoing development.
Can I add that when Daryl and myself were thinking about this particular model, I kept on saying, goals, goals, goals. And we basically said, let's acknowledge the fact that when many of us came into this session, we may not have had formal goals, but we had expectations, or at least we had informal goals. So again, you know, please think about that. Please think about that. It may have been, I want to go in there because I want to go and learn how to either make money, save money, conserve money. It may have been, you know, in terms of your customers, because initially we'd shaped it around COVID-19. It may have been that I want to get to know my customers more. So you may have noticed that your objectives started, your personal objectives started to develop and shift. So like I said, make money, save money, conserve money, or find new customers, work with new customers, or improve the products, or learn more about myself. Or, I mean, these are things which are popping, just flowing out of my mouth right now. But please go back in your own mind and ask yourself, what was my expectation that I had, formally or informally, in terms of the way I entered, and this, what did I want? Another way of thinking about this is, what did I want to come out of this? What did I want to know how to do better, faster, quicker, you know, out of this? So what was the thing that I wanted to take away from this? So that, I always think that that's very useful to reinforce in your mind where you are, because ultimately you are the most powerful engine in your organization. So we're taking you through a developmental process to really get you to really energize your own engine.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, did anybody have any goals, specific goals, when you came into this program, or were they developed along the way, or have goals emerged as a result of the last few weeks?
For me, I can say both. Like I had goals, but some got bigger with the clinic, and I got new ones from the clinic. Like I wanted to expand my business, make it more profitable and more like add the value, add its value proposition, but I didn't see how. But now I have a clear idea and I know how to expand even bigger than how I thought before. So that's one of the goals that got bigger. Some new ones. Gosh, there are many. I got many ideas of how to do business differently, and okay, it all falls in expansion, but the way to do it, it's got got different. I can say that.
Fantastic. Fidens, did you have something to say?
Yes. Mine were more fuzzy.
Yeah.
I wanted to connect first, to learn.
Yeah.
And it was a way to escape my operations and get to invest in myself. So I think I've learned more than I was expecting, because I've been, like, the lineup was so impressive, and all the points that were talked about were relevant to me and to the business, the point where we are at now. And about me evolving, yes, you've served as a punching ball, and I would throw things to you, and you'd give me some perspectives. And as an entrepreneur in a solitary journey of undertaking something that has not been done by anyone else, innovating, presumptuous enough to think you can innovate, you can disrupt the first job that has a human being done in this world. I mean, I need this, and I'm so grateful, and I can't say it now. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I guess we all learn from the experience, don't we? We all, as you said, we can't. The fuzzy thing is very interesting, because fuzziness is perfectly natural, you know, at the beginning of a process. It's also beginning of a product development process. It's quite fuzzy. It's trying to get hold of this idea, and then suddenly things become clearer and clearer. But I think something which that links back to something Deborah said earlier about, you know, you guys who are still here are committed. You're present. You clearly want to get clarity about your businesses and how you can structure them in a more sustainable way. Bonfil, welcome to today's session. Are you there?
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm here.
Great. And do you want to
sorry
add? I
for
know you've been
joining
listening.
Yeah.
Did you have any? Is there anything you want to add to what Deborah said and what you've just heard and what your goals were going forwards?
Yeah. I was listening to Deborah speaking about the model, and I joined a bit late. I really some tips.
How has this
Such as having hello? Can you hear me?
Just about, yeah.
I have a very bad network today. I don't know what to do with it.
Okay. We can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. I joined a bit late, but I had some tips from Deborah about this Gibbs model. It's a very good thing to know, and sometimes we use those skills, but without knowing that there is a perfect way which consistently we can use and get the result that could be needed, if I can say that. So concerning expectations, I don't know if I can just jump there. Before joining this group, I was expecting really to get networks from people maybe abroad in Rwanda, so that I can expand my business. So the second, I was expecting really new skills also to expand my business, the new skills, what I can do, how I can do that. So suddenly I got something completely different, a bit from my expectations. How? I used to think that I can jump from Rwanda to UK to German and expand my business there, get networking with people there that I can just export my toys.
Hello?
Things like that.
We're losing you again.
Then after I hello?
Yep.
Hello?
That's
Hello?
better. Carry on. Carry on, Bonfil. Please carry on. Are you there? No. Okay. I think when Bonfil comes back, we'll let him continue. Yes, but there's different reasons why people come into a program like this, and there's different expectations. I know, Christelle, you've just asked us, Deborah and I, the mistakes that entrepreneurs make that lead to failure. Well, hopefully along the way, I mean, you've got hopefully you've been reading Spinder's great book about what it takes to have an entrepreneurial mindset and some of the lessons that you learn along the way. But equally, there's lessons that we learn personally. I'm going to let Deborah come in here. You know, it's not a tick box to say that these are the major failures, but hopefully I would say that on this program, you have explored for yourselves some of the things that happen along the way, and you've started to reflect on some of the differences perhaps you need to make to your own business and your own organization. I'm not really one that's into the top 10 reasons why businesses fail, because they're out there on the web, and you can read that by Googling. Hopefully we've done more than just giving you a set of slides from Google. I'm not sure if Deborah's still there.
No, I'm here. I'm listening, and I'm thinking very deeply about that. Thank you, Christelle, for asking the question. And I love the way that Daryl had said that. Yeah, we're not really in the top 10. You know, it's not one size fits all. What you have, I'm going to jump back first to Bonfil's point and Fiden's point to answer your question, Christelle. First of all, I absolutely love the fact that Fiden's pointed out the fact that he wanted to escape the day-to-day hustle of his work, of his business. It was fuzzy, and you know, he was able to get a new perspective. What Fiden's is demonstrating is curiosity, and that is what the research constantly says, is that business owners who remain curious and flexible, they're the ones that go forward. Okay, so that's really my answer, partly my answer, based upon the amazing experience that Fiden's has demonstrated. Then going back to Bonfil's, you know, he was talking about the fact that he wanted new networks, etc., and skills. And then he said he found something completely different. What I would describe what he found transformation. He changed. Now, all we can do, we are your guides. We can give you lots of really valuable plans, steps, experiences from others. But most importantly, what will take you forward when you face the day when there's a challenge and you go, OMG, what am I going to do? There's going to be something which is going to pop into your head or your heart, and you'll say, but I do know what to do. That is what our process is about. You are all existing business people. You are not, you know, you've been doing this. So what we find in terms of those who don't do very well is that they do not have a support system like this where they can share, or they may not have a model like the one that the Gibbs model, which they can do by themselves. So my suggestion to you all, and I mean we are still going to be planning something to help you continue to collaborate and share all of those ideas which are coming forward to you. The ideas will come forward to you when you are facing your challenge. You know that moment in your business and you go, oh my gosh, I had this amazing Kwa Muganga and now I still don't know what to do. No, what will happen, you'll calm down and you'll say, actually, I do have a way forward, okay? Because we are reminding you that the answers exist within you. We've been giving you lots of different approaches, and then you will be able to sit quietly, reflect on that, talk to each other in your collaborative group now, and then take that forward. So that's my answer to your question. I speak to entrepreneurs in the UK all the time. I work with them. And what I find consistently, those who think that they can just do it all by themselves, they're the ones that, you know, droop. you need collaborative spaces and spaces where you can talk about the difficulties as well as the successes. So that's what I'm going to be essentially pointing you to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just add from that as well, you know, Deborah talks very much from her experiences and experiences of also working with many young entrepreneurs such as you. It's about, you know, the knowledge that you've gained in here, the strength that you've gained. This is a very collaborative approach that we've taken, not just because it works, but also it will hold you as a very strong community going forwards, even when we're not always able to be with you. And that's, as Deborah said, I think some of the things that you know within yourself and Thedens has articulated and Bonfil has described, and I know if Wilson was here, Wilson would express them as well, is you know, it's from within you. And the things about being agile, being flexible, being open-minded, you know, these are all strengths that sets good entrepreneurs apart from those that do not always succeed. I think, yeah.
Yeah, and we've had a lovely piece of, we've been reminded by Natida, who's also been on this journey with us.
Hello, Natida. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
she's there, always there in the background. Hello.
Yes.
Would you like? Yeah. Would you like to share?
Yeah, please share
that
yours.
piece of wisdom.
Yeah. Yes, please. Thank you for giving me space. I want to share from my experience of doing the hotel in Thailand from the start until, you know, now it's quite stable, still competing in the very competitive hospitality sector. But what I've learned, and from been talking with other entrepreneurs through my own network, sometimes as an entrepreneur, and when you are very passionate about your business and you really think through and you have a top people, quite very experienced people getting to your team, but sometimes that can gear to a very positive perspective. And because we love to do, we want to, you know, be successful in our business. We really give time and commitment to the business. But that sometimes I found it can be a trap in a way that we are too positive of what really the being realistic about the market out there. So I would say a couple of times before launching the services or the product onto the market, you know, if you can test the market very carefully, thoroughly, and be realistic about that. And I would say it's better to get it right in the first place than you launch the business in the full scale and you need to adjust and change things, and that will, you know, cost you a lot. That's what I learned from when we plan to launch a grand opening of the hotel. We did a soft grand opening to test the market, but because we invite quite a close network, business people, and those people somehow give you a very positive feedback, but it's not really reflects on the, you know, the market in reality. So that is one, I would say, one challenge that we need to somehow pull back the full launch grand opening of the hotel and really think through the team. And we did have experienced people on board, but it's just the thing that I would say when you test the market, try to not to use the closed network or someone, you know, really not really represent the whole market, I would say. Yeah.
Thank you, Natita. Great advice. And I think for when you're launching, like now, as Christelle is launching her new range of clothing, it's, as you said, if you surround yourself by people that say yes, it's great, you want to really then see what the reaction is in the marketplace. And
I got quite, you know, very positive feedback.
yeah,
Everyone say brilliant, we love this service, food is perfect. And but when we really sell the rooms in the first few months, it's a combination of the feedback, and we really need to think through. So I would say with the business, even though you launch, you know, a full scale of the products, you can, you know, you somehow you need to bear in mind the feedback and be ready to fix things and adjusting accordingly to the situation. So be flexible on that.
Absolutely. Deborah?
No, I'm just really, I mean, I cannot underscore what Natita has said enough. I really underscore that. I mean, that's when you'll hear that I always talk about, let's go back to the customer. Customers lie. They tell you all sorts of stuff. And then, you know, you open something up and then they're not there, or they're kind of half there. So I really value that story that Natita has just shared. So I agree with her. Listen, test that customer. Don't feel bad if you get it wrong. Go back and find out from that customer, what can you do to improve? And I've noticed that some of the entrepreneurs that I've worked with, they had to get over themselves, as they said. They said that they felt embarrassed. They felt frustrated. Why? Because the customer didn't do what they wanted them to do. And I said, maybe you need to go back and listen to your customer again. Get over yourself. Don't take it personal. It's not personal. It's not personal. It's not personal. It's not personal. Okay? And go back and listen very closely to what they say. Clearly, you have to work out your own margins. Can you deliver that service and still be profitable? Because remember, this is not a charity that you're engaged with. Go do your cash flow again if you need to. I always say to people, focus on your cash flow. Focus on being very close to your customers. Know exactly which customer is complaining and go and see if you can have a meeting with them or have a chat with them. Okay, get over feeling embarrassed. Say, look, hi, would love to have a chat with you so we can get to know more. Okay, so the customers who have left you, the customers who have complained about you, those are the ones who've got very valuable information. And then the more that you get comfortable with looking at that, the more that you can step away from just having your friends and family who, as Natita says, they will say the best about you because they know that you are amazing. They know that you're phenomenal, but your customers don't know you're phenomenal yet. So that's why you've got to be very close and listen to your customers.
And the way that we receive feedback is very important. You know, we won't always like the feedback we receive. You know, we would be the wrong people sitting in front of you if we didn't still receive feedback that sometimes we didn't like. It's how we react to it and how we manage that and what we learn from that feedback. I mean, we have mentors in our life that sometimes guide us and shape us in directions, and we, you know, it's about, I then put the phone down and think, I need to get over myself and reflect on what's just been said. So, and then I rant and rave at Deborah. and then she calms me down. Then I have a cup of green tea, and then I realise that perhaps the person that spoke to me on the phone was probably right, and so there's a way of then taking things forwards. So feedback, I'd say feedback's a very important lesson to learn. And out of all, and so also, you know, what we've done, I hope, is show you that working with 4, 5, 6 of you, we're not working with 500, 600, 700 people on this program. This is very much about us learning and receiving feedback from you guys as well about how this Kwa Muganga has worked, how it's working, what we can be doing for season 2, season 3, season 4, to, as you said, Christelle, to expansion is very important. To scale up is very important. But you firstly have got to get it, as Natila said, you've got to get it right in the first place. You've got to be able to control that and then see what works, what feedback you're getting, how you need to correct things and adjust things in order to then expand further.
So something has popped into my mind. Fidens, very early on, you talked about when you started talking about the 40% of waste in the the process that you were working with, that already was very impactful in terms of feedback, because you're getting feedback, aren't you, in your supply chain. But also what really touched me was the feedback that you shared. You were so open and soft and gentle when you talked about the way that your wife said, why are you talking to your customers with stories? And that has stayed with me for so long, because you were still managing feedback from all different sorts of people in your formal space and your informal space. And I would invite all of you to consider that, because people in our private space have such an impact on us as well. So how has your relationship with your informal network, your family and friends, how has that changed as a result of you now thinking about things in a different way? So I'd like you to think about those things as well. Fidens, any thoughts, comments?
Oh yeah, man. So I don't pretend anything. I want the market to teach me what I need to know, and want customers to be the one ordering, like in a proper sense. They are the ones who by expressing this need, or not even expressing it, but um, um, showing that they might tend or to need it. They're the ones who should dictate whatever needs to be done in our companies, whatever should be set up as a structure to accompany them, to support them. They're the ones who dictate what needs to be lined up as a resource, because they're the ones who tell us how much they're willing to pay for this or that service or product. So heeding what the customers are telling us, not asking them direct questions, but by approaching them in any way, either being with them or going informally or going through paperwork, whatever I've been writing about them, or also being in contact with people who are serving the same people, like these small club with Wills Day. Whenever I go to Bonfils and I ask, who do you get along with? Who do you talk to? I say, wow, these happen to be my customers as well. How are they perceiving your product, your services? So I'm trying to get to profile better my customers and to understand them better by going to through someone who's not doing the same thing as I'm doing. So I mean, I cannot add more than that.
Thank you. So Daryl, are we going to move on?
Yeah. I think we do have our guest. I noticed that joining us some minutes ago was Dan Johnson. Dan, are you there?
I am here. Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, we're all well. We're all well. You've listened in. You've heard some of the conversations that have been going on.
I have. I've even taken some notes for myself. It's all very, very helpful.
Right. So, everyone, we'd like to introduce you to Dan Johnson. Everybody say hi.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
What am I to say?
No, we'll see. Now, very good. Omakuro. Okay, so the reason why Daniel's with us, well, Daniel and hello.
Hello.
Did somebody say something? No. So, Daniel, good for you to join us this morning, all the way from East London.
Yes. Hello.
And as you can see on your screen, Daniel is not only a screenwriter and film director, but he is also very passionate about Rwanda.
Absolutely.
And indeed, a couple of years ago, visited Rwanda as part of a World Work project where he was involved in documenting peace and reconciliation work. Perhaps you can just say something about that, Daniel, who you are, what you do, and what your experience of Rwanda was.
Absolutely. Let me think where to start. So yeah, I'm a screenwriter and film director. I've been doing this sort of work from like the age of 17. If I could get access to a camera, I would just try and make short films and experiment with friends, and that's sort of how it started. And then my style of filmmaking over the years has kept that spirit of when I started, of always not allowing myself any excuses. If I didn't have the budget or the money or the funding, I would just pick up a camera and be creative. And so, yeah, and the Rwanda side of things, I think it was 2016, the first time I came to Rwanda. There was an organization called C4 who do conflict facilitation work around the world, often in post-genocide states. And what they do is they bring together people in the community. Like what we did in Rwanda was bringing together perpetrators and survivors from the genocide to sort of facilitate conversations between them that needed to happen, that the communities found hard to do by themselves, So it was a project that I filmed over 2 years. So we went back and forth. I think I was in Rwanda 4 times. And the work that they were doing was really powerful. And the great thing about it was the guys that I worked with weren't there to dictate what will happen. They were just there to facilitate what the community wanted to talk about and to create a space that enabled everyone to feel comfortable and to work together. So I've filmed that work, and then I edited some different sort of film clips, and we did a 1 hour documentary about it as well. And hopefully we're gonna still come back to Rwanda to continue that project, but for various reasons that hasn't happened in the last sort of year and a half. But yeah, I love Rwanda. I love the people. If you see on the left hand side where there's the 4 pictures together, on the bottom right hand side there is me, a lady, and a young man in between us. That's my friend Olivier, who loves football, and that was another project that I did with him, was talking a Premier League football team, Tottenham, into giving me some of their training kit that the first team had. So I was able to help out Olivier's football team he's involved with, a youth football team, to get them training gear. So I've been finding any excuse I can to work in Rwanda. I just love it. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And so it falls on what you've said, actually, the great work you were doing in Rwanda, and it's how we connected with you. And how we wanted you to be so much part of this project with our young entrepreneurs, and maybe it's therefore right for me to pass really over to you and to Deborah. Deborah, do you want to talk about? Are you there? Can you?
Yeah, no, I just put myself on mute.
Okay.
So yes.
Because I think
So,
what we wanted to say was, I just wanted to say something, because of course this isn't goodbye. And actually one of the things that's come out of the reflection is that, you know, you've now got these wonderful, you've had access over the last 7 weeks to these wonderful people, new knowledge, new ideas, you've met each other, you've collaborated. And so that's just gets us to a point where we can really talk about what comes next. Deborah.
yeah, so as Daryl has said, this is so not a goodbye. This is not goodbye. This is not goodbye. We have completed a significant milestone, and that's why we want you to complete the reflections, and that's why we've taken you through that model. So we do want you to complete that reflective milestone acknowledgement, because we want you to celebrate how far you've come. On the other side now, we want to begin to prepare you for what we call the Shibuka Showcase. So you can see there's a lovely stage, those red curtains. You are behind the red curtains. You'll know that each week we've been asking you to collect information, collect photographs, collect stories. You've been given tasks each week. And essentially what Daniel is going to be assisting you with is putting that together into some mini sort of show reel. Okay, so you're going to leave here with a pulled together story, which is going to be very attractive, but it's going to reflect in your business. You'll be able to use that, obviously, to promote your business, but most importantly, what we want you to do is to get ready to be sharing your work with all the experts who we've been involved with. We haven't got a specific date yet. Yes, we do. At the end of July, you're going to be pulling together all the artifacts that you've been creating, the photographs, the videos, your tweets, whatever you think is appropriate. And with a coaching session from Daniel, being led by Daniel, we're going to be involved, Daryl and myself. You're going to be pulling this all together so that you can pitch to the experts who have been involved with watching your development. So that's essentially what we wanted to share with you. That's what we're going to be doing with you now. We don't want you, I mean, there's that word, convince others to invest with you. I would say you're going to be sharing a persuasive story that demonstrates that you know your customer so well, that you have been testing your customer. You're close to your customer. You understand their problem. You understand their challenges, their frustrations, and the solutions that you provide, either through clothing, either through food, either through holidays, either through toys, that they are an ideal fit. And you'll be able to demonstrate that through the work that you're going to be doing with Daniel to pull together a story which comes from all the artifacts that you have been collecting. So you can see here on the slide, we've got your pictures. You are the ones, you are the champions of this program. You are the champions.
I just want to say the reason why, David, your picture isn't there is because we don't have a picture of you, David. So I just want to make that clear as well.
No problem. I'll send one.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Sorry,
you
Deborah.
are all, yeah, you are the champions. When you are being invited back, remember the range of experts that we have been in touch with. We've already been sending out invitations to them to be coming to this. So they're the ones that you're going to be sharing this with. But we want you to be thinking all along about how you're going to be sharing the value of your business to potential investors who are interested in scaling you up. That's really what we want you to be thinking about. We want you to take a deep breath. We want you to be relaxed as this process. You'll find that Daniel has a lot of experience with working with people who feel a bit fuzzy around the edges. He will spend time with you on a one-to-one basis to find out exactly what is the story that you want to present to the funders or potential investors. What we, Daryl and myself, will be focusing on, our checklist is, are you focusing on the business? Are you focusing on the customer? Okay. Are you focusing on being realistic in terms of the way that Natida has said? You'll do a dress rehearsal and then you will be sharing your material. So that's essentially, there's going to be a showcase essentially, and you are all in the grand finale. So let me repeat. You'll be working with Daniel and you will be pulling together a show reel. The show reel will be taken from all the various artifacts that you have been collecting. It will be reflecting you. We don't want just, to have a dry presentation, which is just what you think we want. We want what you know your customers want. What was the line that Fidel said? I wrote it down. It was absolutely gorgeous. Let the market teach you. The market is your teacher and it will tell you all you know. But equally, you are in a relationship with that market. So we want to see your personalities too. All those amazing faces, smiles that we can see, we want to see that shining through. And Daniel is the one. He'll be using his amazing filming experience. Now you're probably thinking, but we're in a different country. How is he going to be doing this? Daniel is the one who will give you the clear plan. He will tell you all his secrets. I normally do tell, the secrets beforehand, but I'm not going to. I'm holding back now. I'm holding back. Daniel will give you all the little secrets about how to make a great film from remotely. So that's really what I want to share with you. How good does that sound to you?
That is really amazing. You have been saying storytelling, take videos, take pictures, many pictures, but personally, I didn't have a clue how, but but now I'm assured this is amazing.
Yeah. Bonfils, Videns, Daniel?
Yeah. Oh, for me, I can say finally, I found someone really I can work.
We can't hear you for Bonfils. I mean, perhaps you can put some of that comment into the chat because we can't hear you. But we really do want to hear what you had to say. So perhaps you could put that into the chat. Does anybody else want to say, how are you feeling now about pulling this all together into a show reel? You can see that Daniel is a professional. So you'll be making something that's going to look great, but remember, it's about business. It's about pitching something to these experts and potential funders who are interested in scaling you up. So how are you feeling now?
So personally, I do believe in stories because empires are being born and they die because of their stories. The stories we get out are the stories that not only our investors are going to buy into, but also our customers buy into. They want to see the happily ever after today. And because you cannot provide it, at least in the status you want, you are promising it, but they want you to get them through that funnel, and they want you to get them through that journey, and they can connect with you because of that story. And of course, we are not all good storytellers. We all need these tips. We need all these skills. We might not be the do it perfectly, but having a professional accompanying us to get our stories out as proper as possible. Because I mean, there's something that he knows we might probably not be knowing about soundtracks, because it's an emotional thing. People connect with whoever they emotionally can connect with, and for that we need more skills. And as a CEO, as a founder, you're always expected to have all these skill sets. We have whatever it takes, not only the money, but also the passion, but also the hard skills. But at some point, you become realistic that you can't own all that together at the same time at the beginning. So you accept the reality that you will have to get people to contribute in a way or another, and to do it collectively. And the moment you can put together all these little skill sets, that's when the optimal formula comes out. And you say, wow, I have a team, I have a little bit of money to invest, and I have all that, like the small of everything that is needed for the business to be sustainable, or at least to kick off. That's what I'll tell. So thank you for the contributions and whatever is coming with Daniel's he has in store for us. Thanks.
Yes, fantastic. Yes, you will be making, I love that, empires die or they grow because of their stories. And that's exactly, so Daniel is an expert in how you use film to create your story. So you're going to be pulling together all your things, all the things that you have, and he's going to be showing you. And I'm really resisting telling you exactly how he's going to do it. But you will be having one-to-ones with him, and you will be learning how to do filmmaking. So taking it to a whole nother level. So yes, Fidenz.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Deborah. I think this is a very great initiative, and I'm very looking forward and very excited for the next session. So I believe we are all going to learn so many things in this and different ways, and can't wait. I mean, can't wait to meet Daniel, and I'm pretty sure that we'll all learn so many things all together. And thank you very much.
Great. Do any of you want to ask Daniel any questions? As a an entrepreneur himself, and also anything else you may want to ask Daniel?
Just when do we start? Can I be first? Yeah, I'm like, yay! Finally.
We'll be in touch about the schedule.
I like the enthusiasm.
There you go, Daniel. There you go. I mean, because Daniel's why we so much wanted Daniel to work with us on this project was because he does a lot of work with actors and their show reels. So we felt that this was a really innovative, inspiring way for you to be presenting your show reel to a very different audience, to investors and stakeholders and government of Rwanda and so on. So I think you're going to be excited by the process, and we can't wait to see the process and the outcome ourselves. Be very different.
I could maybe share just in 1 minute a bit about what I do with actors, because I think it might help you guys sort of understand a bit more of what I'm able to help you guys with. Is that of interest, Daryl?
Please do. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So what I do with, you know, in the UK specifically, we've got thousands and thousands of people trying to make it as professional actors, trying to build a career. But of course, there's a very limited amount of work for them on television and in film. So what I do is create these show reels where I write scenes for the actors and then film them, I direct them, and then edit it into a show reel. So for example, if I met, let's say, an actor who's good with comedy, or they're good at playing authority characters like doctors and therapists, I write scenes just like they're in a TV or film, but I write them for the actor to showcase their strengths. And then we have a filming day, and then I edit those into a show reel that they can then take to film directors, casting directors, and agents that help them stand out. So, for example, coming out of a film school, a drama school, let's say if you're, I don't know, let's say you're 21 and female and have blonde hair, there are thousands of actors exactly the same. So what I do by meeting them and getting to know that person personally, my client, I get a sense of their unique character, the unique things that they bring to their acting. And then I write the scenes and direct them to showcase them. On the one hand, part of that is how they can play roles on film and TV, but I'm also bringing out their unique personality, their unique side that sort of stirs the imagination of the people who are at some point going to employ them. So that's what I do. And traditionally that has been in the room making films in a more traditional sense. But since coronavirus, I've been doing a lot of work with actors from a distance, doing it on Zoom, doing it so helping them film things with their own video cameras, you know, on their phones that we can then edit into material that can help them get work. So that is the kind of work that I do with actors. And then when I spoke to Daryl and Deborah, we sort of realized that there is a lot of what I do with actors. It's very similar to the needs of you guys as entrepreneurs right now. And what's exciting as well is I don't know your stories yet. I don't know much about your businesses, but that we can sort of work together to, make some projects, make some films that showcase your businesses.
Right. Fantastic. How do you feel about that, guys? Videns? Christelle?
I think it starts by us. Of course, it's not all about us, but if we're not able to articulate properly what we are up to, what the value of our value proposition, and that value proposition need to be embodied. And if we happen to have all the tools that contribute to that story to be built, to be well understood, we'll be well off. Not well off as such, but it will be easier for us to connect customers, with investors, with whoever, all the stakeholders. So, we can't wait, but yeah, I'm a taker. I would like to be the second.
We'll toss a coin. Christelle, you had something to say.
Yeah, I'm so happy for this initiative. Like everything we have learned here, I have started writing it in the chat, but everything we have learned here is going to come to life. Because I know Deborah with storytelling, I had been asking myself, oh my God, how do I put my story into visual? But now this is a great opportunity. This is really amazing. I can't wait.
Right.
Absolutely. And as Deborah says, you'll be able to articulate your vision and your message, your story with Daniel, who'll be able to craft it into something really amazing and wonderful for you. Okay. And that's often what stops people from getting support or investment. It doesn't have to be money, goods in kind, support, endorsement for what you do. It's often the way in which you tell your story. I mean, I read a proposal this morning, which I was just sent to look at, and it was very informational, and I can see why it didn't achieve the results that the young entrepreneur expected it to have. It was very informational and very, very vanilla. So, you know, I think Daniel's going to be doing some amazing work with you. And as he rightly says, it's about he's helping you craft a story. But from our point of view, Deborah, myself, and your experts, we need to see that you're articulating it into a really coherent vision, and that it is a real, and also it's a business that makes sense. You know, it's got to make sense. It's got to hang together as something which is very very sensible, very businesslike, building upon all those that knowledge that you've had over the last few weeks, whether it's from Johan looking at product innovation, or Sven looking at global marketing issues, or whether it's been working with Kevin on brand building, but always going back, remember, to that initial social enterprise canvas that we put up on Padlet 8 weeks ago. That in a way is like the foundation still to your story. That's the foundation, that's the building block of your business. But out of that, stories are grown and empires grow as well. Deborah?
No, I'm just sitting here and I'm soaking up everyone's agreement. I suppose the thing that I want to ask now is, do we have agreements that you're going to take the next step forward? As your guides, we cannot assume that you do want to go forward. Clearly, Christelle has said yes, she wants to go first. Videns wants to go second. But we need, you know, a verbal agreement. Yeah. So please, anybody else that needs to share or say in the chat room that you're in agreement with this.
Yeah. We need to know that.
I think you don't need to ask me. Count me in. I don't know how to agree with this. I am so in.
I think we got that message. I think it's very important that we do have commitment, though, from so Bonfield, David. We don't want to force you into doing something you don't want to do.
Yes. I'm in. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, David.
As Christelle said, I'm really in.
Really in, okay. And I'm sure Bonville is in. I don't want to assume he isn't or is, but he can't hear us and he can't speak to us.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. The good thing is that Deborah said it's not a goodbye today. Otherwise, could be a very goodbye to me, because my network today, I don't know what happened. Yeah. Yeah. So count me in, even though I don't know what is that about. But count me in. I don't.
Okay.
My network was my network was off. So can I have just a bit explanation about that?
Okay. About what? What?
What
Sorry.
I have to be in. What I have to be in.
You said you're in, but you don't know what you're in for.
Yeah.
Well, just assume. I'm sure that Christelle will share with you what you're in about, what you've signed yourself up for. Okay.
Okay. All right.
But I think just to remind you, this is at the end of the day about you building your business. So you do have to go back to that social enterprise model canvas. You do need to go back and fill it in, not just for the sake of filling in as a checklist, but that is your foundation for then developing your story. Because you've got to be clear what your story about your business is. And and therefore, although Daniel is going to have those conversations with you, you've got to be really clear about what it is that you want to achieve. Daniel, maybe perhaps you can say something about that, because you work with actors, for example, that maybe are a little bit fuzzy, but they the best ones that you work with on these show reels, what is it about their mindset when they come into this process?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that it's this sort of strange mix of, on the one hand, having a good sense of certainty about who they are and what they want to achieve, but also an openness to figuring out how to best communicate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's also, one of you guys earlier on was saying, I can't remember who it was, that said that they don't necessarily know the tools of storytelling, but I think you'd be surprised. I think that I remember reading something once. They say that everyone from the age of 5 knows how to tell a story, and in the sense of a story being, everything's fine, and then there's a conflict, a problem to be solved, and then there's a resolution. I think that there is, we've all got storytelling within us, and if anything, I think I can just help bring that out with you guys.
Yeah. So you've got the pain and the struggle, you find a way through it, and then you have a happy ever after or something,
Yeah, on a very basic level. Yeah. And I think that is, and that's, I think, as a big part of what a business is. There's a need to be met. The business needs just showing its usefulness, showing the story of yourselves and the business.
So leading on from that, Christelle, just in terms of preparing them for the session with you, what is it that you feel they need to perhaps be thinking about?
Yes. What I think for the beginning, it's sort of going back to basics of, I think what would be good for me to sort of to begin working with you with is a sense of who you are, back to basics in the term of who are you, what is your business, what I think I'm very interested in a lot of what motivates you with this business, why are you doing it, and finding out who you are and what you, and just telling me a bit about what it is that you do, because in many ways I'm much like a potential customer or a potential investor in that I don't know anything. Yeah, so I think it would just be a sort of an exploration that first time we meet of just bring the information about who you are and what your story is, and we'll work through it.
Because you're right, actually that's the point, isn't it? Sometimes you go in front of an investor and you just have that one chance to persuade them of your story, or I guess in many cases of the actors, the casting director.
Absolutely.
That's the one chance you've got to make it or not. So again, this is the case whereby this story, which, and I think there's a lot that I think it's right that you come to it objectively, absolutely, that they will tell you about their business for sure. And when we look at what's being developed, we will look at it from a perspective of the business itself. Deborah, would you like to say some final words?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to underscore everything that you have the opportunity here to showcase your strength. You have the opportunity here to stand out, point out how you stand out. The way that you will do that is by pointing out exactly what the customer problem is, how their life was before you became involved, essentially how you make a customer's life better. What do they need to buy it? What do they need to do to buy it? So there is going to be this story, but we must always have a call to action that while your customer is going through their process, that you provides them with a call to action. So it might be, what do you want them to buy? How do they buy things from you? That also needs to be in the story. We want that side as clear as possible too. And those are the things that I want you to be thinking about. The thing that I want to leave you with is you are showcasing your strength. You are showcasing how you stand out. You're showcasing how you resolve a customer's problem. You're showcasing the stakes. If people don't shop or buy with you, what are the bigger problems that could happen? Okay, all stories have a stake. You know, there's a massive risk. If people don't buy, what do they lose out on? And equally, if you are not supported by a wider community, how does the wider community suffer if you're not supported? So, you know, we're also talking about the funders, government, etc., etc. These are the sorts of things. But most importantly, and the thing that I really want to leave you with is, again, I'm going back to Fidenz. I think he has a very special way of articulating this. We want you to articulate what is that happy ever after. The customer needs you to describe what does life look like, feel like, to experience once they experience your product or service. Okay, what does that, and you are the ones that have to set that out. You have to make that vision so clear to them that they feel so compelled. And with all these other elements weaved into the story, i.e. why you became involved with being their guide, that's what will be so captivating. So I'm looking forward to this showcase of strength. It's a showcase of strength that I'm looking forward to, and that's really what I want to leave this with.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Deborah, for sharing those words. And we've had a wonderful 8 weeks with you, but it's just the beginning. So this isn't goodbye, this is au revoir. We will be certainly in touch with you very shortly about how we take this forward over the next 6 weeks in terms of the program. Does anybody just have some final words they want to share?
Just thank you. Like you say, this is not a goodbye. Like, we'll keep in touch, so we don't have to cry today. So, but thank you for everything. It has been amazing and transformational. Thank you.
I'd like to add something, if you don't mind, telling us how did you craft all this magic? Not only the coincidental serendipity that happened for you to line up all these the brilliant minds from all over, and not only that, but also how you spaced them out properly to get us in this funnel. Is this did it come from a survey you did throughout your entrepreneurs pool, or how did you proceed, pretty much? Sorry.
It's what we do. Thank you very much. It's what we do. You know, this is what we do. Deborah?
Yes, as Daryl said, this is what we do. I mean, I think we'd been saying that through the weeks. We listen to you very closely.
Yeah.
We debrief. We listen very closely to what you want. We also, as I said, we debrief, and then also there is magic. So I'm just going to leave it at that. There's also magic.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, Daniel will be in touch, and we will be keeping in touch with you as well. And we look forward to connecting with you again very shortly. But for now, it's over and out. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Take
Goodbye.
care.
Mhm.
Bye.